I think the main goal was actually to recognize that things that you consider so noble and nice, like human rights, it was not devised by persons sitting behind their desk and writing it up. It was created by people struggling to actually be accepted in their full humanity. That's the birthplace of human rights. So it's saying anything you consider so noble, try and look behind of it and you'll see the struggle of ordinary folk trying to actually be respected, be recognized. That's what it's about.
Like I said, the lessons are for 1 month, different subjects. There are social studies, biology, there are different subjects coming, and it's about an hour every day. A big part of our lesson is cooperative learning. It's not that I write something on the board and children write it down. They have to learn together. On this picture you see a mystery. They got a plastic bag with all kind of sentences in it, and they have to put it in the right order, so they get 4 different stories.
I think the focus was a lot on working together in self-discovery, and the focus was on what you call work forms, different methods of learning, and seeing the students working together. It wasn't just divulging information, but it was them really working together. I saw the lesson where they were putting the pieces together, 4 different stories from 4 different children in 4 different parts of the world. And that was kind of tedious for them. Yeah, it took them a while to get it together, but it was really interesting when they read it and they were able to relate to it as a child because there were other children. So the connection, that's what I saw really happening, and I think is I believe our children will receive it well.
Can you tell me something?
My grandma is from America.
From America?
My grandmother from Montserrat.
Montserrat?
My grandma from Jamaica.
Jamaica?
My grandfather from Dominica, and my grandfather is from
Okay, Dominica, Anguilla, so also a lot of nationalities.
My grandmother comes from States.
From states?
My grandma.
Whose grandparents are from Sint Maarten? Who knows that? Or 1 or 2? Can you tell me? And your grandma also, or is she from somewhere else? Dominic, okay. Because I also have another letter, and this one is from a girl, and her name is Amisha. Hello, my name is Amisha, and I'm 10 years old. I'm living in Philipsburg, so she lives here. And last month, my grandfather passed away. When my parents were sorting out his belongings, they found a letter about my grandfather's family. It seems that my grandfather's parents and the parents before his parents used to work at a great salt pond in Philipsburg, but they were born in Africa. The great salt pond was one of the reasons why the French and Dutch were coming to Sint Maarten.
That's why I think it's really useful for an island especially that has so many different children from so many different backgrounds. So it allows them to be themselves and still meet each other in their stories. So that's what I really like about it.
It's exciting the way you are presenting it in such an exciting manner. That's when we get the students to get excited. And to me, that's a very important point because for each one of us, it's very important to know where we're coming from.
Yes.
And to believe in ourselves, but to know that certain things still exist and that we need to motivate our students not to just look in the back like something bad, but I mean, of course, I'm sure from the different angles you will see it's not only the ships from Africa,
So I agree, it's economics, it was economics, but they also have to learn that it had a religious component. The religious component was that people actually saw the color of a skin and related it to the color of sin. In the Christian tradition, sin was dark, and they made the mistake of saying the color of sin is the color of people's skin, and therefore we will discriminate them. So there's a religious component to it. So there's a social component to it. So there's many kinds of components to it that students would have to learn, but not only the students, the teachers as well, and everyone in the community. It has to be a wider something. So I agree that we might have to come together.
But there are also people who say that it's not suitable to teach this subject to children because it's horrible what happened, and it's but if you don't teach about it, there will be a possibility that they only have the image of whipping with whips. If you teach about it, they can see the different angles from it. They can look at different point of view. Because in one of the lessons I had, the lessons with mystery, I had 4 children introduced, and all those 4 children had a different point of view of slavery, have something to do with it, and it wasn't all the whipping. And with these lessons they can discover that there's so much more than only the ships from Africa. And I also had, if you look at your tables, you see some different materials like salt, the puffed beans. Here there's some cocoa. They have to discover what it is.
What is it?
And you can make salt. It's just salt, pickles, no smell, salt pan. You use it. Well, you can't taste it, but what should you know about it? It's salt. Okay, what should you write about it? I'm not sure. Okay, write
So they sort of discover things that they knew already, but it then relates to their own reality because their grandfather might have a cotton tree. And then it relates to their personal lives instead of only to the teacher telling them or the book saying it. So I think there it works. And the teachers that we've been with here, they were very enthusiastic. They really sort of joined into the classes and really joined the children when they're doing their exploration, doing their own exploration with them. So the teacher and the student, they're actually working together, which was very nice too.
I say something, when I listen to what is being said, it aligns with the curriculum for foundation-based education, where the idea behind foundation-based education is learning through play and discovery, where the children get a chance to really go and explore and research and get the information that's needed. So I would like to definitely look at it, go on the website, look at it and see, but I think seeing the concept behind it, the idea behind it with foundation-based education, I think it lines up together, especially to have the children involved and exploring and looking for information and everything.
And it is a sensitive topic. That's what I'm saying. Whatever we do, it has to be well thought out. We have to look at all the angles, and even though that we may feel that, hey, it's time to look at it from a different perspective, we still have to take into consideration the sensitivity of it.
Is that children come to the classroom with a certain limited amount of information about slavery. It really depends on what they hear at home. Some parents teach children hatred for whites or hatred for blacks. And so they come to school with that information. So I believe when you expose them to all that they're getting from these series of lessons, is that you are getting an opportunity to transform their minds, transform the way they think, so that they now in turn will make the choice, will I also fall in that same kind of, what's the word? Would I follow that same pattern? Because that's where it begins.
I think it's important to recognize that this project has been unique because it is probably one of the first times that a university here in the Caribbean works with universities in the Netherlands to say, we are going to create a lesson plan that will be used here and used also there. In the past, it always came from there and went here. This is the first time that something is being created here that will be used here and also used there. So that means that although it has multiple perspectives, the starting point where the students have gathered their information and understood what is going on takes place here. So that is the way it's trying to transform the way curriculums are taught. But it's linked also to a larger project, and that is to recognize that the Caribbean and the reality of slavery was foundational for the modern world. It's important that people realize that all these persons that came here to the Caribbean, regardless of where they came from, they developed a very modern kind of civilization. It is important that these students would know that if they, say the student is from, his grandparents were from India, that student would have to know that when they prepare roti, there is no roti in India that had potatoes, because the potatoes were here. He would have to know that. And then think, okay, so this cultural expression that I believe is solely Indo-Caribbean, no, it's Caribbean first, with an Indian inflection. They would have to know about the particular dances. How is it that the dance of the Caribbean has contributed to the emancipation of women in Europe, for instance? That their ability to move their bodies freely, women moving their bodies freely, happened here first. And then it was exported through salsa and through all these types of music to other parts of the world. So it's trying to say that emancipation of the world was not solely something that happened elsewhere and came here. Things emerged here and they moved out, and they changed whilst they moved out and they came back in.